How's it going, fellas? My name's Andy, and today we're gonna take a look at headbands. Yeah, headbands. Some players' entire identities revolve around their headband. You can't really think of guys like Josh Smith or Jason Terry or LeBron in his younger days or Carmelo in his older days without noticing their headbands. They wore them pretty much all the time. However, believe it or not, there was a time that a team banned their players from wearing headbands for over a decade. And as you can tell from the title, that team was the Chicago Bulls. Around the mid-2000s, all the way up until 2016, the Bulls did not allow any of their players to wear headbands during games, although there were a couple of exceptions. But how did something like this even happen in the first place? Well, according to Bulls VP John Paxson, it was mainly because of a player on their team named Eddie Robinson. Eddie Robinson played in the NBA for 5 seasons, which was pretty good for an undrafted player. He spent 3 of those seasons from 2001 to 2004 in Chicago, and he did not really have a great time there. Robinson would constantly get into clashes with the coaches and with the front office, mainly because they felt like he had a bad work ethic and attitude. Apparently, every summer, Robinson would go on vacation to the Bahamas and basically did not take any phone calls from the Bulls front office while he was there. And when he returned, Paxson would get angry at him for not participating in some training camps that he wanted him to go to. Apparently, this beef continued throughout the season, and Paxson never really let it go. As a result, around 2004, he decided to make a new rule that prohibited any player on the team from wearing headbands, because Robinson wore a headband and Paxson wanted to, quote, restore the team's image sullied by players like Eddie Robinson. I mean, it seems kind of petty to me. Most people have never even heard of Eddie Robinson, so banning headbands on the team because Paxson had beef with a relatively unknown player, yeah, that seems kinda ridiculous. But that's what happened. Robinson ended up reaching a buyout agreement on his contract. The 2003-04 season would turn out to be his last season in the NBA, but that's partly because he did have a bunch of injuries at the time too. As for the Bulls though, the headband ban was in place all the way up until the 2016 season, where you saw guys like Rajon Rondo and Bobby Portis wearing headbands in the games. But throughout this 12-year time period though, some interesting things happened. So everyone in the league knew about the Bulls banning headbands, but some players did not realize how serious it actually was. For instance, in 2006, the Bulls signed Ben Wallace over the offseason, who was known for wearing a headband, but a month into the 2006-07 season, Wallace already ran into issues with coach Scott Skiles. In a game in November, Wallace only played about 19 minutes, and he got benched after just 2 minutes into the first quarter as well. And the reason was, yeah, you guessed it, he was wearing a headband. Initially, he refused to take it off, but he did do it eventually. So Skiles let him re-enter the game late in the first quarter. But then in the third quarter, Wallace tried slipping the headband back on, but he had to remove it again if he wanted to play. This was just an all-around awkward situation, over something that seems very trivial in my opinion. Now, I think players should respect the rules, but sometimes players who have worn headbands throughout their entire lives and they're forced to take it off, it could mess up their games. Wallace addressed this whole situation and said that if you know the rules and break them, you expect to be punished. I can't try to put myself above the team or anybody else and wear a headband like I did. I'm man enough to take the punishment, but I'm not sorry. Even LeBron has stated before that wearing a headband is a routine. I don't know what I'd do if I couldn't wear one. If it is something you have been doing your whole life, it doesn't matter what field you're in, athletics or the business side, if someone comes to you and tells you to switch your routine up, it is going to mess up your work. Funny enough, LeBron doesn't even wear a headband anymore, probably because his hairline magically grew back. The Bulls' headband situation was a huge debate amongst the NBA Players Union as well. A lot of players thought it was stupid to ban something like that, especially, the reason they're doing it for. But anyway, in the following season, the Bulls made an exception for Ben Wallace. They allowed him to wear his headband in the next season, but he got traded at the trade deadline anyway. Another exception to the headband rule was when Rip Hamilton joined the Bulls in 2011. Coincidentally, it was another former Pistons player. Hamilton was well known for wearing his signature. It looks like the headband ban has finally been lifted. And that's all, folks. In my opinion, it's kind of a weird ban, especially with the circumstances surrounding it, but I mean, if a team makes a rule, the players should follow it, even if it does sound ridiculous. I thought the Ben Wallace situation was kinda funny, but you know, headbands gotta be taken seriously sometimes. It is a defining characteristic for some players. Thank you everyone for watching, I hope you enjoyed that video, and as always, I'll see you next time.